What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. We're back with a special episode because the Sharks have a weird schedule where they only play once every 4 days right now. But they also had back-to-backs. It's very odd. But we decided we're getting close to the ever-looming trade deadline. The Sharks, once again, will be sellers this year. They did a very good job of not staying in the race so that people could delude themselves into thinking they were going to make it. They fell out quite quickly because there was always the chance that they were going to kind of hang around and not have like a realistic chance, but enough that like they didn't do anything. But this will be the third year in a row that they're sellers for sure. I guess maybe that first year they weren't, but they were sellers. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the big four trade targets. We'll touch on some other guys, but really JD and I think that there is four major targets. And by major, I mean just on the Sharks. Andrew Cogliano isn't exactly a major piece to move, but he could be a trade deadline acquisition for somebody. So we'll talk about that today. Music.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, Kyle Demetrius. Back with me, as always, is co-host JD, the fourth line Timo Meier to my first line, Marcus Foligno.
That is.
I can't believe this man suggested that Timo Meier would be a fourth line winger on the Wild.
I will think of that tweet every day for the rest of my life. Just one of the really scorching hottest takes I have ever seen in my life.
It's not even hot, it's dumb.
Like, I understand, like, you think, everybody thinks that their players are better than everybody else, and that's part of being a fan. And we have, we definitely have pumped the tires on guys too that we enjoy, but
yeah, we're not out here saying John Leonard is better than everybody's bottom six in the league. Like, come on.
No, we love John Leonard, but yeah, we know what John Leonard is. So
it's insane shit, and just suggesting that. So Corey Mazisak, I can never do this. I gotta just write his name down. Corey from The Athletic, the new beat writer for the Sharks, put out an article today talking about the trade targets. And
we're recording this on Monday. Sorry, when you're hearing this on a Wednesday. Sorry,
today, anyway. Whatever. Time is a flat circle. He put out on Monday an article with trade targets, and he suggested that the Wild he basically just went through every playoff team, and he said that the Wild probably aren't going to trade for Tomas Hertl, but they would probably want somebody like Marco Rossi. And of course, us being shitheads, we're like, yes, Marco Rossi, because that's kind of the type of guy that we've said San Jose should get back. And then people just assumed that Tomas Hertl wasn't good. Not nearly as egregious as Locked On Avalanche calling Tomas Hertl Jonas Donskoy, which is insulting on different levels for a lot of different reasons.
Who's more beloved, Donskoy or Hertl?
Let me see. Yeah, it's super close. Who's more beloved, Jeremy Roenick or literally every other Shark? I don't know. It's just dumb. People are dumb. Tomas Hertl's like an actual 1C. So anyway, music. Spooky music. That sounded spooky. Let's get to our first guy. It's obviously going to be Tomas Hertl.
All right. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to kind of look at each player, make the case for why the Sharks should keep them or try to re-sign them, and then make the case why they should trade them, and then look at what would be fair value for said players. So as Kyle alluded, if you're watching on YouTube, fair. Marco Rossi, Matt Boldy, Wallstead, and a first. That's my final offer. And I want to sign Kaprizov jersey too. Final offer.
Deal.
Yes. So we're going to start out, of course, with one Tomas Hertl. If you're watching on YouTube, I made fun graphics, so you can go check those out.
Wow. Presentation mode. So Tomas Hertl, a center for the San Jose Sharks. Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Pretty good one at that. So far this year, he has 22 goals, 20 assists, and a $5.625 million contract that expires at the end of this season. If you've been a Sharks fan for literally any time of your life in the past 7-8 years, you know who Tomas Hertl is. So he is arguably probably the second or third best Sharks player, depending on the night. And the Sharks Yeah, they have a huge decision to make with him, as he's probably wanting an 8x8 contract is kind of the rumored where he would be. Kyle.
He's got to be the second best Sharks on first or second. Like it's not really. If Timo's the best player this year, I don't really know.
Carlson, Hertl, take your pick.
But he's been dead for so long.
R.I.P.
He's been gone for so long. I feel like shit. Just want him back.
Thursday. So hopefully. So Kyle, why should the Sharks keep Tomas Hertl?
Oh, I like journalist JD. I didn't think he was going to appear today.
Oh, always. Big J journalist.
Wow, I forgot about that. You should wear your credential to the podcast next time. I mean, like, he's only 28. I think he turns 29 in December. You're getting a 1C. You're keeping your 1C because Logan Couture is clearly the 2C. He's much older. Logan Couture is my age, actually. He's turning 33 in May. He's really on the downside. He's not as dynamic as Tomas Hertl is anymore. And so Hertl gives you that 1C for at least like two more years. If you figure he's 29, 30, like it's hard to trade away somebody who's been good for you for so long and also is beloved and still makes sense in the short term. The problem is that the short term is poo for the Sharks. So it's hard to have him on the team. And another reason why you'd keep him is that he says, I only want to go to Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh's like, well, I don't really want him, or we can't fit him with cap things. And he ends up just staying. I don't think that will happen just because if he wants to go, he'll just make something work. Yeah. The real heat move here, though, is to trade him away for a haul and then just sign him again in the summer. That would be the absolute clutchest move of all time. Yeah. Which would be sick.
And then you don't have to pay him that 8th year, too. So it's one less year. So, yeah. Doug Wilson, 5D chess here. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Hertl. You know, we did a whole episode on Hertl and what an appropriate trade value would be and stuff. And, you know, I know the Sharks are, you know, we're trying to retool, rebuild, but it's clearly what you're doing isn't working. And the guys on the team are just getting older and older. And you got lucky with an Erik Karlsson resurgence year this year before he got hurt. Timo Meier's best year, I would say.
Yeah, but Timo's also 24.
I know, but
25. You know, so like,
but like, if Timo continues to be this way, that's fine. But like, is Brent Burns going to get any better?
No, Brent Burns is actively getting worse.
Is Logan Couture going to get any better?
No, he's also actively getting worse.
Is Marc-Edouard Vlasic going to get any better?
I don't think he can get any worse. So maybe.
Are you going to get another year of James Reimer like this next year?
Yeah, that's the thing. Are you going to get Barabanov again? Are you going to get who else is good?
Yeah, like so the guys who play well this year, like a lot of these guys, you can't count on them to continue to play this well going into the future. And the way, and then I mean, we expect the 2020 draft class to start to make an impact. You know, next year, you think Bordelot and Ozzy and Robbins will start to trickle in at some point here. But they just don't fit the timeline of when these guys are going to start to make a real impact. So that's why I think trading him away, trying to get people who fit this new timeline with Eklund, 2020 draft class, and then whoever you draft this year, your 2022 draft class, where these guys can all grow together. That's what makes the most appropriate sense to me. So
I think the real thing here is that it's going to suck trading away the most beloved, like non-Joe Thornton Shark, probably of the last little bit. Maybe Joe Pavelski sneaks in there, but
that's your Hertl's.
Yeah.
It sucks watching these guys play elsewhere, but it's for the good of the franchise. You have to let them go if you want to eventually try to win a cup, or else you're just in the same cycle of giving guys contracts who are not going to be worth those contracts.
And San Jose never, ever trades away guys like this, like at this time of year. Like, look at Logan Couture, look at the trade for Karlsson. Obviously, they re-signed Joe Thornton a million times. They re-signed Brent Burns. Like, they never do this with high-end guys. They don't trade them away. So this would be a first, but at the same time, they've also never been this bad for as this long of a stretch. So trading him away and getting some sort of haul and kind of resetting or accelerating the reset would be better. It's just going to suck really badly in the short term.
Yes.
And it's obviously a gamble. Like Doug Wilson would have to sign off on it. And then Hasso Plattner would have to be okay with it. And that's how important this trade would be. And at the end of the day, Tomas Hertl might just be like, I don't want to stay. The team is very bad and they have nobody coming. So it could just force their hand anyway that he says he wants to go, which would look like a failure on the Sharks' part. But like lots of things go into that. By the time you hear this episode, we might know because it's only 2 weeks away, the trade deadline. So once this episode comes out, it'll only be 12 days away, 11 days away.
Yep. So fair compensation. I mean, we talked about.
We talked about it. A high end prospect, a first, and some other stuff.
Some other stuff, yeah. So,
like, I understand it's at the deadline, so maybe you won't. But like anything short of a prospect that's ready to play in the NHL, basically next year. Yeah. Obviously, Marco Rossi is just a name that we're throwing out there. But like Marco Rossi, Alex Newhook,
these guys who are
one of those Rangers guys that are like Nils Lundqvist. I'm not saying Vitaly Kravtsov is good enough, but Vitaly Kravtsov, like there's these guys that are close. Boston doesn't have anybody. I mean, we went through it and looked at it.
Yeah.
You can find some of these guys, but it's got to be somebody who's on the roster. Like, argument's sake, they trade with Carolina and they get Seth Jarvis. Something like that.
Me 100%.
Well, yes, that's not gonna. That's literally 0% chance of happening. It would never happen. But
that's the type of
like,
thing where you,
even though he's not just a prospect, he's still like on the NHL team. But like somebody who's good or should be good and is young like that, and then grab one of their low firsts, maybe grab a contract back to help them out or something like that. There's lots of different things you can do. Say the Minnesota trade, you could take Rossi, argument's sake, and Fiala, because Fiala is going to be a cap casualty anyway. So
and that helps. That helps out Minnesota. One
sneaky place would be Pittsburgh, because they have so many guys coming off the books next year. Mm-hmm. That they can just figure him in there and then try to re-sign him, because they have like Malkin's coming off, for instance. I think Crosby's coming off soon. Letang is a free agent. So there's all these guys where they have the summer to figure it out, whereas like a Minnesota or a Tampa or a Florida is kind of booked up for the next little bit. It's I think if you're cheering for the Sharks, the laundry, and want to see them win a cup, Hertl has to go. Yep. If you want to see Tomas Hertl play as a Shark and retire a Shark or extend his career as a Shark, then you don't really care about winning the cup because the chances are going to be really long, then you want him to stay. And as much as and also putting it out there, we want him to stay.
We love Tomas
Hertl. We love Tomas Hertl. He rules so hard. The Rooster Trick, the fun must be always, the guaranteeing game 7. Yeah. And then he scores in overtime, dead tired.
Double overtime
in game
shorthanded.
6. Shorthanded. Like, Tomas Hertl rules. He's got a gigantic butt. Like, the guy kicks ass.
I want to retire that gigantic ass meme.
I know.
R.I.P.S.
So, I think sometimes you just got to make the hard decisions. And this is the hardest decision they've made in a while. And no, it's not Erik Karlsson's contract's fault.
No. And
just gonna head that one off right now.
Yes. And again, that $8 million, you're gonna have to pay Timo Meier at some point. Like, you're gonna have to start paying, like some guys soon. And like that $8 million, you could, save that money for a rainy day, or you never know if some other superstar gets upset or something like that. Like, save that money, and you could do something with that later. If you want to retool your third line, or like, there's money, that money can be used on a different day. So that you would potentially pay Hertl. So yeah.
I mean, he basically would slide into the, if you hold on, one more thing. If you re-sign him, he'd only be going up to like, let's say $9 million.
Yeah.
So that's another like $3.4 million. You're just basically eating out some of that Kane space.
Mm-hmm.
Eating up some of that Kane space. You're just eating up some of that Kane space. So it's Hertl's already at 5.6. So you're not going from rookie's contract, like minimum wage or whatever, to riches. You're going from like the middle to the top. So you're really only adding like $3 million, but he stayed. The problem is combine that. So now he's making 9 or 8. And when he's 34, he's probably gonna be busted. His knees are pretty banged up. That's the issue. Not so much that they don't have $3 million extra right now. It's just in the future. And if you get rid of him, obviously you clear $5 more million off your cap. So
yep.
Speaking of eating out, Built Bars. They are good. They're covered in 100% real chocolate, so they taste good. And you can eat them outside your house. It's fine. they're easy. They're handy. They're very small. They're like the size of a chocolate bar. You can throw them in your bag, throw them in your pocket. If you're a lady, throw them in your purse. Or if you're a man, throw them in your man purse. No, we don't care. You can take them wherever you want. And they're good. Feeling hungry? Everybody stopped at the gas station and been like, hey, can I just run in and grab a water and a chocolate bar? Nobody, you shouldn't do that. Or Sour Patch Kids or something like that. They taste good, so you can always supplement them right there. And the good thing is that when you do that, not only do they taste good because they're covered in 100% real chocolate, not only is there really good flavors like coconut brownie, double chocolate, peanut butter, cherry barcia, mint, I think, all sorts of different flavors. But most Built Bars only contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Whereas that gas station chocolate bar you pick up, probably about 230 calories. It's a lot. Tons of sugar. Dozens of net carbs. It's not good for you. And maybe you're not feeling like a chocolate bar replacement. Maybe you want something a little lighter, maybe something a little different. Built Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy. They literally are marshmallows. And they have really good flavors. Cinnamon churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. Also covered in 100% real chocolate, so you can't go wrong there. So don't grab that other one. And if you didn't like any of the flavors I left off, there's a new Built Bar that just came out. White chocolate, cookies and cream. It may be going soon because they come up with new flavors all the time. Holidays are coming up around the corner. Maybe they'll have a holiday themed one coming up soon. So always go to built.com and check. And then when you go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com.
The next
Give me a sad day when Tomas Hertl leaves.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So next Alexander Barabanov. So,
or if you're me, Barabanov. I can't type. So
yes, Barabanov is 27. He has this season 8 goals, 19 assists, and it has 1 year, $1 million on his contract that expires at the end of the season, where he will be a UFA. Barabanov is an interesting guy just because sample size, right? That's kind of been his thing, where he literally didn't do anything on the Maple Leafs. Couldn't crack the Maple Leafs lineup. Gets to the Sharks last year. Played, of course, everyone knows about his fabled 9 games where he is the greatest player to ever play. And then I thought he was
right.
Yeah, we were right. Took the most of his opportunities. So, I think with him, like the case to keep him is you found him, right? He is free money that you found. You picked him all,
The disrespect to
Anti-Suomela.
How dare you?
RAP. But he, your scouting department, you found a guy who was, underutilized. You brought him in, you gave him an opportunity, you took that opportunity and ran with it. And he is a legitimate top 6 winger, even on, I think on a good team too, like on a very good team, he could still be, probably more of a second or third line guy, but he can play top 6 minutes. And we've seen his passing. We see he can be kind of that glue guy on the line where it can kind of do a little bit of everything. But that contract he's wanting is tough.
You got to see. So he's on pace right now for 41 points in 74 games, 12 goals, 29 assists. He's on pace for that. Obviously, it can change. Decent, but does he improve on that going forward? Because in Russia, for instance, he had 46 points in 58 games in 2018-19. But he's been about 25 and 55, 17 and 40, 20 and 43. Didn't do anything in the AHL here. Well, he had 5 points in 2 games, actually. Had 0 points with the Barracuda. Couldn't crack the Leafs, like you said. So, are you getting him? Because remember, he is already he's born in 1994. Yeah. So he's turning 28 in June. That's our whole thing here. If he was 23, sure, sign him up. Or if the Sharks were close to the playoff bubble, or just hanging around there, and he could be useful going forward, and you can add more pieces around him and he becomes remember when they traded for Gustav Nyquist and he slotted in on the third line because the team had lots of good pieces, something like that, where you're adding this talented guy who could play up the lineup, but you're adding him down the lineup, and you keep him and sign him for $3 million because you're good and you're going for it. Sharks aren't good, and they're not going for it.
Yep.
And you have found money. If you can turn found money into a second-round pick, why not do it? Like, I understand that Barabanov is good.
But he doesn't.
But, like,
Again,
is
he
he
doesn't fit
that
the
good?
timeline. Yeah, I don't know if he fits. Again, like we were talking about with Hertl. By the time the Sharks are good again, he's not going to be good again. And you've drafted all these guys hoping that they can replace him, right? You know, like at some point, you know, yeah, he might be good for the next year or two, but at some point, you know, a Gushin, a Robbins, an Ozzy, one of these guys is going to be taking his job, and then he's going to be an overpaid third or fourth line player. You know, and that's the thing is, I think this is one of those things where you could strike while the iron is hot and get something of worth value back for him, for a player who, again, I just don't know if he fits your long-term plans.
Yeah. So
12 first rounds for Barabanov? That sounds fair.
I'm trying to look here. Why is this not updated? I just don't know what you're getting for him is the problem right now. Because like Elias Anderson got a second-round pick last year. That's not the best.
But also remember, the Sharks don't have a second-round pick. So even if you get a late second-round pick, you're kind of refilling the cupboard on where the Sharks don't have that pick. So
Florida acquired Patrick Hornquist for Colton Sceviour and Mike Matheson. Oh, here we go. Let me plug this guy in. Bear with me 1 second.
So yeah, I think you can either either try to flip him for a pick or a potential prospect and maybe try to.
But I just don't know. I just know what prospect you would get for Barabanov.
Like a mid pick or maybe prospect or maybe a guy.
It's probably a pick because so Barabanov logistically, like most logically, is going to go to a Florida, Tampa, Toronto, Boston.
Hilarious. He goes back to Toronto.
That would be funny.
Anti-Sumo.
No, God, that would be so stupid.
Full circle, closed loop situation here.
Fair. But a team that is looking to add depth can't add. He's $1 million total for the season. So when you prorate it, so how trades work is that you prorate it for the number of days remaining in the season. So at the beginning of the year, in day one, he's worth $1 million. Every day that goes by, or game that goes by, it goes down. So at the trade deadline, that's why you got to go on Cap Friendly and look at trade deadline space, because you have more, because the cap always keeps going up. So you can add, the cap stays the same, but your payments go down. So he's $1 million, but really you're only fitting in like $100,000 of it or $180,000 of it, whatever it is at the deadline.
Yeah.
So a team that's strapped, Florida, and wants to add some depth, they're looking to make a big splash. Tampa, similar to Barclay Goodrow, they want to shore up some depth. Barabanov could fit in easily. And so those teams aren't going to have the kind of prospect you would want, probably.
So the pick is the place to go here.
And they'd probably be more willing to trade a pick because like a second is really a third for them. So it doesn't really matter. But is there a world where Barabanov gets you a low first? Barclay Goodrow got a first. I know.
That could be one of those things. Well, the thing too was Tampa, they wanted Goodrow because he was cost controlled for the year after, because he had a very, type of thing. So, and since he's 100% a rental, that's where I don't know if they would give away at first, but who knows? NHL GMs are weird dudes. So
Marcus Johansson.
Yeah.
Marcus Johansson got traded for Eric Stahl, the corpse of Eric Stahl. Yeah. Like that would be a bad,
and that could be another thing too, where maybe the Sharks take on a bad contract. You trade Barabanov, you take on a bad contract back, and then you're also kind of juicing up that pick as well. So especially because the Sharks have a ton of cap space this right now. So yeah.
The 1920 deadline had some good trades.
1920s.
1920, yeah. Pajot went, Trocheck went.
The 1920s.
1920 season.
Oh, I thought you said like 1920s. I was like,
no,
yes.
No.
The Seattle.
Yeah, like Barclay Goodrow and a third got back a first. Dominic Cahoon. Dominic Cahoon went to Buffalo, and Pittsburgh got Connor Sherry and Evan Rodriguez. Here we go. I did it, everyone.
Evan Rodriguez has turned into a very nice player too. So
Evan Rodriguez?
Yeah. For the Penguins?
Well,
Go look up his stats.
That's like the Mark Donk situation. You can't count that.
Any player on the Penguins is just
you just become better. Everett Rodriguez currently has 35 points. Jesus. Vladislav Nemestikov got traded for a 2021 fourth round pick to Ottawa, and he went to Colorado. It's the exact kind of deal we're talking about. A crappy team is trading to a contending team. When he got traded, he got traded twice that season. He had 25 points in 54 games with Ottawa. Barabanov currently has 27 points in 48 games.
It's pretty a 1-for-1 there, yeah. So
Nemestikov, I think, was a little bit more defensively minded, but Nemestikov went for a fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think that a guy like Nemestikov is better? Granted, you can immediately look at Patrick Marleau, who went for a third.
Yep.
In the same thing, which is hilarious. Wayne Simmons went for a fifth. He was kind of older, the veteran guy. Nick Ritchie and Danton Heinen got traded directly for each other. Like these are the kind of things I think we're looking for. Matt Pekka got traded. That's really funny. Yeah, like I just don't know. Jordan Schmaltz got traded for Matt Laredo. Like it's all over the place. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that it's all over the place on what you can get. An old Ilya Kovalchuk got traded for a third round pick. So if teams are valuing a little bit of skill passing in their top six or their depth, I think you can bump up that second range.
Yeah.
But I think you're probably looking at a third. Would you be happy with a third?
Because if it's a third from a contending team, it's probably going to be that's basically
more
a
like
fourth round pick. Yeah. So I think you really got to try to push for that second there, just because because it's going to cost the other team literally nothing. Because I'm sure the Sharks will happily eat half the cap, so you're basically paying $50,000 for this guy for the rest of the season. So, but then again, I just don't want to. I don't want to give him the contract. That's the thing. So I would take whatever the best offer you could possibly get for him. So,
yeah, I think if you're just trying to get rid of him, then you not get rid of him, but if you're just trying to recoup an asset, then you just trade him for the person. Like you wait till closer to the end of the deadline, like on the day of the deadline's at 3 Eastern. You kind of just wait till like 1:30 and then trade him. But the trades, a guy like him, the trades are all over the place, which makes it hard to handicap it. But I think you could realistically, Barclay Goodrow got a first. So I think you could realistically say Barabanov could bring you back anything from a first to a fifth. First being a Tampa first, where it's 25 to 31.
Yeah,
32. So I think realistically,
again, that would be perfect since you don't have that second round pick. So
I just.
And this draft class is a weird draft class for everyone's been saying. So, yeah. I just don't see how he interfaces with the timeline. Yeah. So, all right. Next, our good friend Andrew Cogliano. Andrew Cogliano.
Oh boy!
4 goals, 10 assists. Makes also $1 million this year. Defensive specialist. This is the type of player where teams are trying to shore up their penalty kill. Really quick though, where do you think Cogliano ranks in points on the Sharks right now?
How many does he have?
14.
8th,
9th. So yes. So, yeah, this is a defensive first. He's going to be a good glue guy in the locker room. He's going to do all the little things. Coaches love that. Plays hard, et cetera, accepts his role. The case for keeping Cogliano is
there's
all the things I just said.
This is the one. This is realistically the one.
Yeah,
where there's no case for keeping him because we're going to get to the last guy too. But
yes,
there's realistically no case for keeping Andrew Cogliano.
No, you should. He can go help somebody else more. And right now he is basically just keeping guys from like John Leonard or Gadovich or like these guys from seeing consistent ice time. And I know he helps the penalty kill and he's a good professional and good soldier and does all that fun stuff. But you could recoup something for him. So.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's gone in the offseason.
Yeah, he's not
Unless
coming
they want to
back.
re-sign a veteran guy again, but that doesn't make any sense.
No.
He's gone.
You have
Everything
Matt
he does
Nieto.
is replicable.
You have
Yes,
Matt Nieto.
yes, exactly. You can replace him. The problem is that he was in his rookie season, he had 45 points in his rookie season, which is his career high,
Yep.
which is really strange. He did have a 42-point season later, and he was in that mid to high 20s, low 30s for a while. Had 3 35-point seasons, 38-point season, but the last time he was that guy was 2017-18. In 18-19, he had 17 points. In 19-20, he had 14 points. In 2021, he had 11 points. This year, he's got 14. So he's had single-digit goals every year since 2018.
Yeah, but I mean, he could go help a team.
It's purely it's like you said. It's purely somebody for PK.
Yep. Some depth, plays PK, can play tough minutes. If you need a defensive type of guy, defensive forward, and he's still good at that. So, yeah,
I think the trade return here should really be
6th, 7th, whatever you can get. So, yeah.
Yeah, if somebody offers you a 6th, take it. If somebody offers you a 5th, try to get a 4. I think we realistically would be like, wow, good job if you get a 4th, right?
Yeah. Oh, I would be shocked. I would be, wow. Yeah, that's a good job, Doug Wilson. You did Doug Wilson working the phones. But I think Joe.
He also makes $1 million, so he's cheap as chips.
Yeah, so it's the same thing, as the Barabanov for. He's not going to cost you anything. He can help cup contending teams penalty kill, all that fun stuff. So whatever you can get, 5th, 6th.
Literally just trade him for whatever comes your way, as long as it's not a conditional 7th.
Yes.
Somebody will offer you more. I'm sure you can get a 5 or a 6 for him. Just trade him. There's no unnecessary. There's so many veteran guys on the team already. That's not like you need him to help the youngsters along or something like that.
Yeah.
He's just a guy that's going to go somewhere to a team that wants him.
Yep.
Toronto is the perfect team that does this every year.
Yes. So
go nuts.
All right. Our last
trade him to Vegas. I do not care.
Yeah. Whoever. Our last guy of importance, RIP.
Oh,
James Reimer.
The king.
James Reimer.
Look at those sparkling numbers.
James Reimer. Could you remember? When was the last time you saw a goalie with a over 900 save percentage?
It's been 84 years, buddy. You should have used the picture of him and the ghost from Happy Gilmore, the ghost photo.
So James Reimer, 916 save percentage this year, 284 goals against. Tricky thing with him, he's got 2 years left on his contract at $2.25 million, and he is also on injured reserve right now. He has been a bargain for the Sharks. He is
the ideal rental down the stretch. And you know how we also know this? Because San Jose did it to him in 2016.
Yes. He has been, especially the numbers that he's put up this year behind this god awful team. So if he actually had a real defensive structure in front of him, he has played out of his mind this year at times. And I think he would be perfect for a team that is looking to try just to solidify that goaltending position. So the case to keep him, he's been really good for your team, and it's not like you have any other answers going into next year, but you can find another James Reimer in the off season. You're going to have a little bit of cap space, and if you want to find a veteran to pair with Adin Hill, it's not the hardest thing in the world to go find a goalie. There's always 1,000 goalies available in during the off season. The goalies it's musical chairs with them. So just go find another one.
But next year, just that point,
yeah,
Melnichuk's got to come up and start playing it now anyway.
Yeah, you got Melnichuk, you've got Sawchenko, who you've got these guys. One of these guys needs to win the job, that job, and Hill needs to prove that he is a worthy caliber, player. So,
you're gonna expose yourself if Hill can't step up. If Hill's just not a guy, and Melnichuk's not ready, and Sawchenko's obviously young and played one game. Maybe Melnichuk isn't the answer. He's got an 862 save percentage. San Jose, the Barracuda are one of the worst teams in the league.
Yes.
But also he has
for you, John Leonard.
864. Oh no, that was NHL. He had an 868 last year and an 862. Maybe he's just not the guys.
Yep.
You expose yourself, but like you said, just go sign Laurent Brossoit. Go sign Michael Hutchison. I don't know. Pick one.
There's a bajillion. There's a bajillion players that are free agents, goalies, especially goalies, because they don't get signed usually to long-term deals, so they're always available. Like here, I'm pulling up the.
Here we go. Marc-Andre Fleury. So Mikko Koskinen, he's not very good. Darcy Kemper, Thomas Greiss, Yaroslav Halak, Jonas Korpisalo, Gorgiev, Schneider, Francouz, Holtby, Martin Jones, Samsonov, Campbell.
Go find find somebody.
Guys.
Yeah,
David Riddick, Casey DeSmith, Phoenix Copley. Like there's guys that exist.
Yeah, that can come in and play for a year or two. Well, yeah, it's fine.
And if you want to do some like 3D chess here, trade for Jonas Korpisalo because they have Merzlikins and they have Daniil Tarasov.
Columbus always has a bajillion goaltenders anyway. Yeah,
Columbus, yeah, they always do. So they have a goaltender, so you can maybe just go get one if you want to like cover yourself. You would be exposing yourself, but James Reimer, if he's healthy, caveat, if he's not healthy, then it's gonna be hard to trade him, and then we're just doing this dance next year. But what does James Reimer bring to your team next year? A couple wins, The problem is I don't think the team's close to getting back to the playoffs. So
is he going to be this good again next year?
We don't know. That's the problem.
I don't know. That's the weird thing about goalies, right? Is we've seen it. We've seen it all the time where goalies, they play amazing one year and they fall off the face of the earth next year. And it's like, do we trust James Reimer, who's 34? I don't know. His age is anywhere between 33 and 40. I wouldn't be shocked, but you don't trust him going into next year to continue to play the way he's playing right now, especially with the miles that he's had this year, where Bob Bugner is just like, Jimmy, you're running back out there again. So,
yeah, it's tough. The extra year does make it hard. And it leads me, I'm kind of inclined to think that they won't trade him just because he has that extra year. But with how bad the Sharks have really fallen off and really need to take a step back next year and retool and regroup, you don't need him next year. Is the problem. Maybe you wait till the offseason. But like goalie trades at the deadline are also weird because like Robin Lehner got traded for Malcolm Subban, Slava Demon, and a second round pick. Lehner was much better than Reimer and younger. So it's a lot of things. But like from there, you don't often see goalies. Michael Hutchison got traded to Colorado for Calle Rosen. Calle Rosen is just a minor league guy, prospect type dude. Michael Hutchison is much worse than Reimer. But these are the kind of deals that are happening. This is also in 1920 because last year's deadline is all weird. Zane McIntyre got traded for Louis Domingue. Two goalies that are shitty. Martins Zierkels got traded for a fifth. I don't even know if he's a goalie. I think he is. Yeah, that's the problem is that goalie trades are just kind of all over the place. And depending on who needs it, like Colorado, do they need a backup goalie? Desperately. Edmonton. Why is Edmonton not on the phone every day to San Jose trying to get a goddamn goalie? They have none. So,
but Alex Stalock.
Laurent Dauphin got traded for Michael McCarron. Jack Campbell and Kyle Clifford got traded to Toronto for Trevor Moore, a third-round pick, and a conditional third-round pick. It's just Campbell wasn't very good at that point. So it's just there's just a lot of uncertainty when it comes to goalie trades.
Yeah.
And so we don't really it's hard to put it like, could James Reimer get 2 seconds? Probably.
Hell,
is somebody willing to do that? Like Devin Dubnyk and a 7th came to San Jose for a 5th. Yeah. Reimer's orders of magnitude better than Devin Dubnyk. You know what I mean? Devin Dubnyk then got traded for like a 7th or something like that, or was it a 5th again? It was like full circle. Jake Allen went to Montreal along with a 7th for a 3rd and a 7th. So the 7ths wipe out. So Jake Allen got traded for the 3rd. There we go. We found it. This is in September 2nd, 2020. Not at the deadline, but still a goalie deal. A 3rd? Yeah, I think happy with a 3rd.
Yeah, I think if you get a 3rd, you got exactly what you signed him to a contract. He was proved to be well worth that contract, and you're getting out before he potentially falls off a cliff, and you're getting a potential 3rd-round pick out of it. Sign me up.
I think the original plan was for him and Hill to share the net and San Jose having a little bump and getting back into the playoff bubble.
Yeah.
And being
he did his job
that
this year.
Yeah, but I think that was their plan for signing him to 2 years, and it just hasn't worked out. So I think you just got to get something back for him. Or this is the one where if they keep him, it's probably not the
play
worst
13 games in a row
because
next year.
well, no, but no. It's not the worst because you can trade him in the offseason when he's only got 1 year left. You can also trade him at the beginning of you can do more things. You have more time. Like Cogliano is just he's gone.
Yeah.
Barabanov, you got to sign him anyway. He should be gone. Hertl should be gone. But with that extra year, if they keep him, I kind of understand what they're going for.
Yeah,
but
it's not the end of
that
the
means that they're going to try to win games next year when they need. This whole stretch after the All-Star break and heading into the All-Star break has really shown that they need to retool desperately.
Yes.
Very badly need to retool. So I think it'd be prudent to trade him and just run with Hill, run with Sawchenko, grab somebody in the offseason and figure it out. So that's personally where I'm coming from. But
yeah, if you go into the into the offseason with Hill, Sawchenko, veteran goalie X, and then just say, okay, you guys figured out. It's competition isn't the worst thing in the world. So, I'd be happy with that, especially on a team that's probably going to be bad again next year. And and then you go into next year, and if your veteran goaltender plays well again, you can trade him again next trade deadline. So
and then Gaudreau will be around.
And then the goat row will be showing up. So any other guys that you want to touch on?
There's a bunch of guys that we decided not to do because they all have another year. So Rudy has 1.55 left on his contract. Matt Nieto has 850K left on his deal. Jeffrey VL has 750K. Radim Šimek has 2.25 for 2 more years. God damn it. It's never ending with that guy. No. LeBanc is dead.
Yep. LeBanc is an off-season trade. So if he comes back, he's plays well. Yeah, when he gets back. So,
but those guys Nieto would be perfect for a contending person. But does a contending person want to have 2 years of Matt Nieto or a year and a change? Probably not. Do they? Rudy might be an option just because he's young. If you trade Rudy and then you sign Barabanov, that could be a thing.
Yeah, because then you're kind of taking that Rudy money.
Yeah, Rudy can't stay healthy. So there's guys that could be traded. Nick Bonino, I forgot to mention Nick Bonino. He's got $2 million left. But if a contending team or somebody comes and says, hey, we'll give you a second and a fifth for Nick Bonino, you got to do it because he's not providing all of these guys, Bonino, Cogliano, Reimer, Nieto, they were signed with the intention that San Jose was going to rebound out of their little slump. Guys were going to have better years like Carlson, Burns, Vlasic, Meyer, Couture, Hertl. People are going to have better years on the up. They're going to get better goaltending and get back to the playoffs or at least be in the hunt. That didn't happen at all. So now you're stuck with Bonino, stuck with Nieto, stuck with Reimer because you signed with the 2 years deals in this plan and the plan didn't work. So if somebody can offload those contracts for you, I think you should just do it because you're just going to trade them again next year because I don't think they're going to be any better next year.
Yeah, and again, it's is Nick Bonino really a 3C? And it's
no offense. It's all defense. No offense.
It's all defense, and it's it's going to give you, if you want to find another center this offseason, go ahead, have fun. Or you've got guys, like Bordelot. Bordelot should be making the NHL next year. There's your 3C, hopefully. And then you got Reedy and Weatherby and these guys who need more ice, more opportunities and more ice. And so he's just a progress stopper for these guys.
I think if somebody, exactly. If somebody offers you something for Bonino and Nieto, obviously if it's a seventh, probably wait, be smart. But if somebody offers a fifth for Nieto, just do it. So we didn't want to include them and take up too much time just because they do have the extra year. It's going to be harder to trade them, but you never know. Do you have last thing before we go? Do you have any? Oh no, wait, one more thing. Carlson, Burns, Vlasic, Couture are not being traded.
No,
they just won't be. And Burns and Vlasic in particular would have to be an off-season deal so that A, one more year ticks off, and B, you can do a lot more different stuff. The off-season is fake. You can go over the cap, all sorts of different things. They're not, unless something crazy happens, they're not gone. Yep. So, do you have a dark horse surprise trade guy? I personally don't think there's any surprise trade guys on here.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they're you can kind of see the plan for most of these guys and stuff like that. So none of these dark horse guys that
there's nobody really just it would have to be Timo would be the only real option.
Yeah, but I think you'd have to get
sign Hertl, trade Tima. I would not.
That would be wild.
That would be.
Well, I mean, he is only a fourth liner, so
yeah, that would be it. That would be a day. I just don't think unless something's been working, like unless they've been working on a Brent Burns deal, and it comes to fruition. But like, I just don't think there's any surprise guys. And Ryan Dzingel was literally acquired for free off of waivers. Like 2 weeks ago, nobody's taken him. If they do, just trade him for anything. That's the guy that you can be like a 7th. Sick. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to pay Edmonton.
Yes.
Yeah. So trade deadline. I think we are both going to be around that day. Hopefully,
we'll be on the internet.
Yeah, we'll be on the internet. Maybe do a live show during the trade deadline. We're still working out the kinks on that. So yes, very excited about that.
We'll definitely have a podcast up that night.
Yep.
Or like the next morning because we'll do it right after. So we'll have all of your coverage. We'll make sure that any rumors, dedication, any rumors. I think if Hertl becomes available, then we'll be on red alert, obviously. But if he is like, oh, they're working towards the contract and it looking good, then deadlines can be pretty boring for San Jose. But you never know. If you would like to talk to us about our fake trades or Marco Rossi, future Shark, you can do that at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Locked On Sharks on all three. We put up all our work. We interact with pretty much everybody. Follow us. Do that thing. YouTube, Locked On Sharks. We're over 600, marching towards 1,000. You can watch us. Listen to us, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, the usual suspects. Email, lockedonsharks@gmail.com. We have a couple. Gonna read them later. JD is at My Fry Hole.
Kyle is at Kyle Demetrius. Thank you for making us your first listen. Go check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Locked On Bets, Locked On NHL Now. Also, do that other stuff. I don't know. Kyle, what random podcast should people listen to? My dog is just going crazy back there with her bone. So
let's say Locked On Buccaneers.
Bye, friends.
Football.